with Ashley. Today we're in conversation with a sexologist. She will be taking us through the importance of sex. But besides that, she might be the one who's introducing herself. My lady, thank you very much for your time. This is #Reality with Ashley, and my name is Ashley Masweni. So today we're here to meet with you so that you can take us through the importance of sex, but you can introduce yourself.
Thank you so much, Ashley. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
My name is Lynett. I'm a sexologist and a relationship specialist, and today we will be covering some really important topics.
Yes, does it. So, my lady, I just want you to tell us the importance of sex, like why sex is important.
Absolutely. Sex is an integral part of each individual's psyche, of our lives, of how we go through life, who we associate with, even how we dress. And sex is a mere part of sexuality. And you know, for an individual, on an individual level, we can look at the basic things of, okay, it's important to have children, right? That's survival of species. But that's a little teeny tiny portion of sex. It produces hormones that makes us feel good. So it reduces anxiety, depression, stress. It can help us balance our hormones. It's really phenomenal for our immune system. It actually boosts our immune system. So on an individual level, you look at those things that are health bound. But for our psyche, when I have sex or when I am accepting of myself as a sexual human being, I become a more whole person. I don't cut off portions of myself. If I identify as a philosopher or a sports person or, you know, in a professional field, that's a portion of myself. It's not all of it. So sex and sexuality is the other playful side.
Okay.
So for the individual, it brings so many gifts. And then for a relationship, for a couple, if you think what sex does, we bond. We get to be playful and we get to explore and we get to be creative with one another. Couples who have sex, they're less scratchy. Mm-hmm. You know, they're less scratchy. They take things less personally. Okay. So it's a beautiful bonding experience for a couple. I call it a quick cheat.
Okay, but then there are two terms within those things, but then I just want to understand the difference between those two terms, because sometimes we just consider them as one thing. So I'm saying this because I just want to understand the difference between porn and the sex. What's the difference between pornography and the sex?
Absolutely. I love this conversation. A conversation around porn and actual real life sex is a really enjoyable conversation. So pornography is where we exaggerate certain elements of sex. So pornography is a production, first and foremost. There's somebody that directs this, that produces this. There are actors involved. And so then you see exaggerated responses. You know, you will see a woman scream, you will see a very big penis, you will see boobs, you will see, you know, fluids, you will see big things because it's an exaggeration of an experience. And, you know, in real life sex, my hair may get stuck underneath your arm. You know, my leg may cramp.
Okay.
You know, we may not move from one position as effortlessly as in a production, because a production is produced. We don't see the bloopers, you know. And I think one must be cautious. If you watch a lot of porn, this may influence your expectation of yourself. You may expect yourself to last really long or to look different, you know, and to respond different. You may view your partner and you'll be confused that she's maybe not responding in the way in porn where they scream and they squirt and they do all of these things, and she's not doing that. You know, so one must just bring in balance. That's all. And you've got to realize pornography is a production, and the whole goal of it is to sexually arouse you.
Okay, but unfortunately I don't watch those things, you know, because it's been due to the restriction. But I don't watch them. But I will start to familiarize myself with those things. But it's unfortunate. Our parents, they never advise us to watch those kind of things, because they always warn us by watching those things, but no, those are you get my point. So for that, we're not getting in touch with those things. But then now I just want to understand them, so-called the cause of high and the low libido.
Yeah, big time. A phenomenal question, and it's a really good point of conversation. High and low libido, you will always sit in a relationship with somebody with a high libido and somebody with a low libido.
Yes.
But you can also link this to somebody may want a holiday more than the other person. So the one that wants this holiday more, that's the high libido. The one who wants it less is the low libido.
Okay.
So this will obviously also happen in sex. And libidos aren't static. It changes through life. You know, it's influenced by many things. It may be influenced by your body.
Okay.
So what's happening to your body? Are you in pain? Maybe somebody that's frequently in pain, or have difficulty with their health. Your body can't focus on sex. You know, it's focused on pain management. If you think of hormones, if your hormones aren't in sync, you may sit with a problem of thyroid, hypothyroidism, low libido. You know, we look at the body, what's happening to the body. Then we look at what's happening with your medication. You know, there's a lot of medications that can actually lead to low libido. So those medications would be high blood pressure medication, for instance, or antidepressants, contraceptives, antipsychotic medications. There's a lot of medication that suppresses libido, and so we check that. We look at body image. How do you feel about your body? There's so much around libido.
Okay. But then, you know what, I also wanted to talk about the sexual compulsive disorder, but I don't want you to respond on this one. I just want to go back to a pornography to understand actually what leads to porn addiction.
Yeah, big time. So if you consider that pornography addiction is also linked to masturbation addiction.
Okay.
So you won't find somebody who watches porn and who don't masturbate. I mean, the whole point is to arouse you. So as you watch it, you will masturbate, so they go hand in hand, right?
Okay.
So when we understand that, then you will realize, oh, maybe we'll sit with a bigger concern then.
Yeah.
You know, people often use pornography when they go into discomfort, any discomforting emotional thought. So that would be boredom. That would be, I'm unhappy, I'm anxious, I'm lonely, you know, difficult things. And they've learned that, hey, when I masturbate, I feel good. And then they start to use it.
Okay.
You'll see that masturbation, porn addiction has actually increased after COVID. Why? People are home.
Okay.
They're home.
You just mentioned the masturbation. Remember, the aim of this show is to inform and educate the people at home. But then, because now I just want us to have a full understanding on this thing revolving on the sexual matter. But then, as you mentioned, masturbation. What is a masturbation?
Okay. It's pleasuring yourself, so you use sexually pleasuring yourself, and masturbation is really sex with yourself. It's the safest sex that you can have, and I would hope that that was your first introduction to sex and sexuality, right? So I pleasure myself, and my focus would absolutely be on technique. You know, if you think about pleasuring yourself, that's wonderful. I'm really hoping that all of you do, because it's a full-on acceptance of who I am, and that my body gets to give me pleasure, and that I get to enjoy my body. It's my body, you know? But technique matters. So if you're a male masturbating, be sure to not hold your penis too hard and don't go too fast. There is no other hole that can replicate that.
Okay.
You know, and if you're a female, my advice would be take your time. Don't press too hard on the clitoris. You can desensitize it.
Yeah.
I hope that makes sense.
You do make sense, my dear. You do make sense. But then there is also this question I want to ask. If someone doesn't have a partner to perform those activities of sex, does that person have to masturbate for him to feel pleasure? Let me say I don't have a partner to perform those kind of activities. Should I consider masturbating only?
Absolutely. If you do not have a partner and there's no partnered sex that you're having, absolutely masturbate. I am going to say masturbate with certain techniques so that you don't fall into that hard and fast stimulation, and you don't accustom yourself to it.
Yes.
Because you can. When you do that, you won't actually find your partner pleasurable. You won't get to a point where that interaction is enough to bring you to orgasm.
Yes. So my dear, what are the sexual compulsive disorder?
Okay. So sexual compulsive disorder is previously known as sex addiction.
Okay.
Or hypersexuality.
Okay.
And I think it's badly misunderstood because number one, there is no such thing as sex addiction.
Okay.
It's more a psychological dependency.
Oh.
So compulsive sexual behavior, how do we know when it is that? It's basically when you cannot for the life of you control your sexual desires, your urges, your behavior. And when it has a significant influence on your thoughts around yourself, relationships, your work, you know, all of those things. So somebody with sexual compulsive behavior may interrupt their job to go somewhere. Okay. And there's a gigantic influence on relationships. So you will look at low self-esteem, low confidence, and I'm not talking about in the professional realm. We sit with two types. We sit with the professional realm, and then we sit with relational and sexuality. You've got two different self-esteems and two different sets of confidence. So here, what everybody sees may do really, really well, but what people don't see, that may do really badly. Oh. And anything that is linked to an addiction, we become ashamed of. We hide this. Oh. And the hiding makes it worse because that's a psychological out. Okay. When I don't feel good, when I can't control it, then I go. Treatment for this is so specific and it's so wonderful and it's so enriching and it's so worthwhile. You know, men and females can sit with it, although predominantly at this point it's men. And I would so invite somebody to reach out to a sexologist and walk the journey. There is no shame, there is no guilt here. We literally need to walk the journey so we can get you to a point of contentment and a higher quality of life. If you carry shame and you hide some stuff, your quality of life is not going to be spectacular.
Okay. I must always come out.
Yeah.
You are watching #Reality with Ashley, brought to you by Media Toddlers. Today we're in conversation featuring our sexologist. So thank you very much for your time again. So why my penis is failing me? How do I begin?
Yeah. When a penis fails, you know, men, the moment that a penis fails, and this can take one time, they lose trust in themselves.
Okay.
They lose trust in themselves and they lose trust in their penis. So by the second time that these partnered sex, they're fearful already. You know, they cannot, this is so painful for men to go through this. I don't think women understand the full extent of how bad it is for a guy. Because when we don't lubricate, we can hide it with a lubricant. You know, we get to hide it.
Okay.
But when a penis fails, you don't get to hide it. You know, so it's really hectic. Erectile dysfunction is basically, I'll give you 4 scenarios.
Okay.
When my penis doesn't stay hard enough for penetration, when it actually doesn't work, regardless of adequate stimulation, and then you'll see that individual will not have morning glory. You know, in the morning when your testosterone is like 50% up and you wake up with a hard on, they won't have that. It can be rapid ejaculation. I ejaculate so fast, it's such a concern for me. Or delayed ejaculation. It takes me so long to get to orgasm, you know, and the female's like, I have had enough, or whoever you're having sex with. So those are the 4 areas. And when you sit with erectile dysfunction, especially when your penis is not hard enough for you to penetrate, when you don't have morning glory, urologist. That's first port of call. And then after that, depending on the outcome, reach out to a sexologist. Rapid ejaculation, delayed ejaculation, sexologist immediately.
Okay.
There is with delayed ejaculation, what's your history of masturbation? Was it hard and fast? Is the stimulation now not adequate for you? What's happening in your brain? Where's the block for you? Why can't you release with a partner, for instance? Rapid ejaculation is so fast. There's so much that we can do to help you actually, but we essentially desensitize your penis.
Okay. So like you are a sexologist, you know better than us. So you are the ones going to tell us on how to become good on those things in terms of performance. Let's say I'm in a relationship with someone. This person is my partner.
Yeah.
So in terms of performing sex, should we perform it every day, or we must just have a time for it? We just say, okay, I just want to understand that the sex needs to be performed every day as like Monday to Monday for those who are in love, for the partners.
Yeah, I love this question. Okay, yay for us. So it works on this. There's so many elements to this, so I'll just give you a few. Sex, if a couple has sex once a week, but consistently they have it once a week, and another couple has sex like 5 times a week, there's no difference in happiness between those couples. It's the consistency that actually counts. The couple that's the unlucky, or not unlucky, sorry, unhappy couple is the one where sex is inconsistent. Maybe we have it this week, now we don't have it. Okay, maybe this week, okay, but now I have 3 times. Okay, but now we're missing some weeks. That's the couple that I'd be concerned about. So however much you have it, as long as it's consistent, it will depend on the desires. You'll obviously in the beginning we have sex more, right? But we've got to maintain at least some connection every single week. I can't tell you how many times to have sex, but I will say this. Depending on your life, depending on where you sit, I would recommend a minimum of 2 a week, which is a risky thing to say, but I'll substantiate it. One can be a quickie where we just get over the pressure, it's just like, just get rid of the anxiety. We're not putting a hell of a lot of effort into this. And the other time, we are now already connected. We already got rid of some anxiety, some stress, and now we can go into like a full-fledged experience where we can go into exploration.
Okay.
You're not going to go into exploration if sex is infrequent.
What lead us to us as the men? When I say us, I'm referring to us as the men.
Okay.
What lead us to withdraw? Like maybe, let's say we're in bed or we're in rooms. Then we have to perform these activities. But while we are busy doing this thing, we don't last for a long. Maybe it takes 2 minutes. What lead a man to take only 4 minutes to perform that activities?
You're so harmful to the male psyche, so harmful, And if that continues, he won't seek out sex anymore because he'll be too embarrassed. He'll become fearful of it,
Yes.
So you're going to definitely look at high anxiety levels in that individual. What's causing the anxiety? Is it generalized anxiety or is it specifically related to that? And, what caused it? You're going to look at why is this penis so sensitive, because that's a sensitive penis. So in those instances, we're going to definitely advise some calming tablets. We're going to advise increasing your sexual repertoire so that you can please your partner and derive a lot of enjoyment so that your self-esteem, your sexual self-esteem still does well.
Okay.
Whilst we work on the rest, we'll definitely give you a masturbation technique to help. So as we discuss these things, it becomes really apparent that a lot of this, you need guidance, you need assistance, and that there actually is so much that we can do. People just don't know about it and they're too ashamed.
Well, what is the right time for a person to lose his or her virginity?
Oh, tough question. Sex is so much, like the emotions, attached to it, and the fear is attached to it. Because if you are young, if you're in school, and you become pregnant or impregnate somebody, there's consequences to this. So it becomes a tricky situation. And my concern here would be do you have a support structure that can support you with this? Are there enough conversations to make sure that emotionally you'll be okay, and that you can actually, you can help yourself in terms of your thoughts? So I can't link it to a specific age, but I do want to say, regardless of age, you must have a support circle. And if it's not in your home, it's got to be either in your school or it's got to be in your community. There's got to be some support. It's difficult to go through sexual experiences alone, because you don't have the information that you need. You don't necessarily know, how can I keep myself safe? How can I feel about this? How can I think about this? If there is a risky thing that now happens, what do I do? My advice to couples who are older, and again, this is a very risky thing to say, but we want to know whether we're sexually compatible before I make a lifelong commitment to you.
Okay.
Because how do I know? If we're not sexually compatible, we may sit with some big trouble. Difficult to answer. I can't give you the exact thing. It's about those emotions, and it's about your thoughts, and it's about, but is there a support circle that you can turn to when things aren't going so well?
But according to you as a sexologist, according to you, what do you think? What do you think about, like, I just want you to tell us, like, it might be a prediction or the relevant time you think this one is a better exact time for a person to lose his or her virginity.
I'm definitely going to say not early high school. Absolutely not. It's too risky. You don't have a full understanding around consent. You don't have a full understanding as to how to protect your body and what is okay and what not.
Okay.
Remember, the male brain only reaches full development around 25, 26 maybe. A female is around 24, 25, You're going to go into sexual activity way sooner than that, most likely. If you can understand consent.
Okay.
And if there's support. But I would definitely not recommend heading into a sexual experience in early high school, definitely not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for your time, Miss. Is it Lynett?
Yes.
Thank you very much, Dr. Lynett. You are currently watching #Reality with Ashley, brought to you by Media Totless. That's how we wrap our conversation, where we're canvassing everything related to the matter of sex. So we thought it's important for us to also make you to understand the importance of sex, the low and the high of libido. Until we meet again. That's how we wrap our conversation. Thank you, but make sure that you subscribe to our channel. You also comment and give us a thumb. Is it a thumb?
A thumbs up.
Yes, so make sure that you give us that thumb. Thank you very much. Until we meet